Hello and welcome to this overview of DeliveryX's recent look at e-commerce returns. I'm Katie Searles, one of the editors of this report and your chairperson for today. This webinar is part of our e-commerce world review, which looks to provide some of the key findings, but also add additional colour to our research report. We're going to look at the importance of managing returns, both to keep your customers loyal, but also to protect your bottom line as well as the environment. To bring this report to life, I'm delighted to be joined from the sponsor, Asendia's Jonathan Tubb, who looks after business development for their new returns platform, e-PAQ. Before we delve into the world of returns, John, can you tell us firstly a little bit about yourself and then about Asendia?
Hi, Katie. It's good to meet with you and have the opportunity to participate in this webinar. I've worked in the international e-commerce logistics environment for many years and was at Asendia at its creation, providing e-commerce solutions to retailers in the UK. I joined the head office team a few years ago, and I'm very much looking forward to launching a new returns platform. It's very exciting for Asendia to have this new solution available. For those who are not aware, Asendia is a joint venture company created by Poste, the French post and parcels operator, and Swiss Post, and our focus is international e-commerce distribution. We're a global organization with operations throughout Europe, the UK, North America, and the e-PAQ region, and can provide global solutions, both postal and commercial, and importantly now, returns.
Excellent. Thank you so much, John. So that's our panel for today. This is the returns report as a whole, which you will be able to download using a QR code at the end of today's session. As you can see, it's full of detail. There's some charts created by our RetailX team and also some detailed case studies from retailers doing something a bit different in this space. Today's webinar, we'll pull out a few of these, but as I said, you can download it in full at the end. A little context to start us off though. Returns have always been part of retail, even in physical bricks and mortar stores that you have dressing room facilities. There's many reasons why items are still returned. The growth of e-commerce though has changed that. People have the luxury of trying things on in their own home, and that means there's been a jump in returns. As this chart shows, 71% of online shopping items are sent back, compared to 66% of in-store items. There's not a huge difference there, but where it gets complicated is the e-commerce returns process is a bit more tricky than, say, items in a store being able to find themselves quickly back on to the shop floor and for sale again. John, what should retailers be prioritising when it comes to the challenge of returns? Is there anything they can do to make the reverse logistics process a bit more streamlined?
Thanks, Katie. I think there are several things that they can do, and those should be focused both to the shopper, but also to the retailer's own internal organization. It is well known that a retailer's returns policy and its ease of use is a key factor in whether a shopper places their order. Streamlining the process can go a long way to reducing the number of abandoned baskets at checkout and enhance brand loyalty. One of the ways this can be done is providing the technology for them to submit a return. So using a retailer branded portal whereby the shopper can submit a return, state the reason, receive preparation instructions, and also a carrier label. Increasingly, shoppers are demanding QR code solutions, so they don't need to print a label at home. Instead, this is done at a drop-off location by the network partner. This portal can also provide notifications to the shopper, such as return tracking information and whether a return has been accepted by a retailer. This automates the process and reduces the need for costly and time-consuming customer service interaction. It is also preferred that a retailer provides a choice of return method that are as convenient as possible, including a high density of drop-off points and, where possible, the opportunity to arrange a collection from home. One of the key needs of a shopper is to receive a refund from a retailer as soon as a return is accepted and verified. And there are methods by which this can be done more quickly.
Excellent. It's really interesting how technology is going to play a critical part in making this as easy as possible for both the consumer and the retailer itself. There's another level of complexity here, though. How can retailers with international returns benefit from prioritising this particular challenge?
For cross-border shipments, the use of in-country return centres, where items can be checked and graded, helps speed up the process and also enhance the shopper experience. They can provide the opportunity to process refunds before the items arrive back at their originating country and provide the opportunity to consolidate the returns for a longer period before they're shipped back. This can allow for stock that can't be resold to be dealt with in the country the return was created, so to be recycled, resold, or donated to charity. In addition, working with a company with a high level of customs expertise to ensure that where possible, duty and taxes can be reclaimed, minimises cost and enhances cash flow. All of these actions have great benefit. They help reduce the cost of shipping items back, but in addition, also add to the level of sustainability achieved.
Thanks so much. And throwing forward to sustainability is a subject that we'll come on to later in the report. There's some really interesting figures surrounding how potentially unenvironmentally friendly the returns process is. Sticking with consumers for the minute, though, retailers ensuring that this process, whether international or in the UK, is as streamlined as possible is really important, as consumers themselves want that process to be as easy as possible. And that's going to have a knock-on effect on their loyalty. Ease of returns is a top priority for consumers. Our RetailX consumer survey found that nearly half, 47%, found it very important for returns to be easy. Further research also suggested that 61% would exchange a product if that was available and the process was made simpler. With a cost of living crisis, record high inflation, and a real impact to consumer confidence this year, we could see that impacting returns. Will consumers want their refund quickly to deal with that? John, with everything that's going on currently, is it a time that retailers should be investing in their returns process?
Katie, I believe it's vital that they do. We did our own survey of 800 retailers globally, and it was established that the level of return was surprisingly high. 23% was the figure that was collected. The expectation also is that this will continue in the coming years, and this is due to the growth of e-commerce, but also through new generational buying behavior and the influence of social commerce. Also, during our survey, 57% of retailers agreed that the level will actually increase during the next 5 years. It's well understood that a retailer's returns policy is a major determinator as to whether a consumer places an order in the first place. So it seems fundamental that the processes involved should be in line with the expectation of the consumer, such as the speed of reimbursement and the ease and convenience of physically returning an item. This is increasingly important when the cost of living is high and consumers are looking for cost savings. Branded loyalty is key.
Branded loyalty is going to be increasingly important as we go forward. You touched on their generational buying habits, and this is quite a wordy slide. It is in the report in full for you to read, but some of the practices and returns are highlighted here. There's a difference between potentially good and bad returns, and they fall into two categories: bracketing and wardrobing. So bracketing is where customers buy multiple items, maybe of a different colour or of a different size. And because they have free delivery and free returns, that means the risk for them is particularly low. In a survey of 1,000 shoppers in 2021, 58% of respondents said bracketing was just the way it is now. Wardrobing's an interesting one though, because it sits within the fraudulent returns category. Consumers buy a product, perhaps for a special occasion, a holiday, and return it after it's been used. John mentioned social commerce there. Sometimes within wardrobing, people are simply buying it to photograph it and send it back. One report called this online shoplifting, as consumers are purposely returning non-defective items, having used it at no cost to themselves. John, is these trends why retailers must really understand the reasons behind returns, and do retailers need to be looking at their return data in more detail?
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, the simple answer is yes. Returns are costly, both to the retailer and to the environment. And any opportunity to reduce the number of returns will generate benefits. The availability of data, such as that provided by our new platform, gives a retailer the opportunity to analyze and make intelligence-based business decisions that help focus their procurement and sales strategies accordingly. Data can identify how often a particular product line is returned and the reasons why. And it could be, for example, due to sizing, quality, or color issues, allowing the retailer to manage their supply chain accordingly. Country-specific information is also available and can illustrate the difference in consumer behavior in markets and perhaps a need to vary their returns policy.
Thanks so much, John. The reasons for understanding returns is increasingly important when we look at the environmental impact. Of course, there's financial reasons why retailers really need to understand this data. But the British Fashion Council's, their Institute of Positive Fashion, published a report in March of this year. It showcased that 23 million returned garments were sent to landfill in 2022. These figures also show just the sheer amount of emissions that are created by the returns process. From the reverse logistics side of things, John, what can be done to clean this up?
The obvious answer is to reduce the volume of returns, and technology can help. As an example, 1 in 4, that's 24% of global retailers, have said that they will be looking at personalization and size and fit tools during 2023. This type of tool will improve the order experience while also reducing the volume of returns. But as returns are high and shoppers expect choice, there are other ways to be more sustainable with returns. The use of sustainable packaging. 25% of global shoppers said that they would pay more if the packaging was sustainable. 100% carbon neutral returns. Asendia, for instance, offers the entire returns journey on a carbon neutral basis. QR code-based labeling solutions, where the shipping label, if one is needed, is printed in store at the drop-off location. The use of reuse, recycle, or donation services for unsellable returned goods. 22% of shoppers said they would pay more if their returned goods could be donated or reused. Reducing the return final destination distance. 21% of global shoppers said that to improve their delivery in 2023, they would like to have onward shipping of unwanted products to customers locally, rather than being returned to the retailer. Lastly, retailers can identify whether requiring their shopper to pay or partly pay for returns could also reduce the number of returns. It may, however, have an impact on their brand loyalty, so this may not suit all.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Those are some great solutions to the problem. But the last one you touched on there, that charging for returns, is something that we saw happen last May when Zara set the precedent by starting to charge its consumers for sending back to third-party locations, they still allow their consumers to return in-store for free. It had a knock-on effect. Suddenly, a number of retailers that worked within the online space were starting to deduct from the refund if anybody returned products for that reverse logistics part of the journey. Should retailers be looking to consumers to contribute, do you think, John, or is there other solutions?
I think that if a retailer handles it well and it sits within their brand values, then yes. However, with the cost of living as it is, shoppers will only accept a charge, I think, for strong reasons. I have a couple of examples. Firstly, sustainability. I think that, as we've seen, shoppers will pay more for return and delivery solutions that are sustainable, but in addition, for items that will be donated or reused. They would pay more also for 100% carbon neutral services. In addition to that, if the retailer is able to offer additional shopper return benefits, that will also help. So choice, or a wider choice of first mile carriers, a high density of drop-off locations, the availability of live tracking notifications, and a faster refund. 26% of shoppers said they would pay more for a choice of return methods.
John, thank you so very much for your insight. This interview or this discussion will be available to watch on demand if you want to refer back to it at any point, or even share it with a colleague. If you want to download the report in full, you can use that QR code. There is an interview with John in it as part of it. If you have any questions for Asendia, you can actually contact John himself. He's kind enough to give us his own email. It's jonathan.tubb@asendia.com. But it has been a pleasure chairing this session today. It is part of the wider e-commerce world review, which continues tomorrow. As I said, all of these sessions will be available on demand. For now, though, again, a massive thank you, John.
My pleasure.
Thank you to our viewers. I'm Katie Searles. Goodbye.